What's going on, y'all? Carlito here, back with another video on your screen. First off, I want to thank my main sponsors. You know, Gamez Law Firm, Gamez Fights, and Mal Azul, best tequila brand in the game. Today, the links will be in the description down below. And Truck Bids of Texas, always putting on nationwide, and the best wrestling school in the game. Today, links in the bio. And today we got a bare knuckle champion. Britain Hart. This is a complete honor. Thank you for coming on the channel. Let my subscribers know everything about you if they don't know you.
Yes, what's up? I'm super happy to be on here. Definitely make sure you follow both of us because we got some good things coming up, and we want to keep you guys in the know-how. So you can follow me at Team Hart. I'm on Instagram. I am on Facebook. I do the TikTok and sometimes Twitter, but I'm not the best. The best platform for me is definitely Instagram and TikTok, though. Those are my favorites. But I keep it simple for you guys at Team Hart. Let's go.
Amen, amen. So let's start at the very beginning. So what got you wanting to be, in the sport of boxing or to bare knuckle?
Yeah, so honestly, I was always really into sports. So I always kind of had that like God-given talent there. My first true love was soccer. So I grew up over in Germany, and they're different over there for sure. And that kind of made me, well, I mean, it definitely made me who I am today. Living in Germany for those 5 years, it was really tough, but they play tough over there and they have like really a higher competitive standard. So I was already used to that when I was like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, my parents were yelling at me, "Get your ass down the field, let's go!" Like it was, where over here you see your little, eighth grader, and you're like, "Come on, buddy, you can do it." I'm like looking at him like, I never got that. I got your ass gets beat if you make a mistake on the field. So anyways, just kind of that mentality coming back over here. I ended up kind of going through definitely a rough teenage years. I did experience some of the things, like I said, where I moved from Germany over here. I did kind of experience the bullying because I was from Germany, even though I'm not German, but because I lived there, people would call me like Nazi and stuff. And, it caused a lot of things. But when I started showing how good I was at sports, they started backing off. And I was winning those schoolyard fights, so that helped too. And it kind of like gave me that respect and edge. So I learned really early on, if you're good at sports and you're good at fighting, people respect you. So I kind of always kind of kept that. And it did get me in trouble a few times here and there. So I went through that as well. But when I had my son when I was really young, um, I realized kind of, oh shit, it's just going to be me and him against the world. So again, that mentality was put in me really, really young. I didn't have any help. My family at the time didn't let me move in because I had moved out prior to graduating high school. So they were kind of like, you made your bed, sleep in it. So I really had to figure it out. I ended up getting a scholarship to go to school. I got my accounting degree. I tried doing that for a while. I wanted to shoot myself every day because it was the worst. But, I was doing what I had to for my family. Finally, I just realized how much I was missing. I was gone all the time, struggling through that. Then I found sports management as a degree. I was like, well, if I'm going to be working and making money, I need to do something I love. That's the key in being important and juggling all this crazy stuff in life. So then I went for sport management, and it opened a big, huge door. I loved it. I worked in the NFL, I worked in NASCAR, I did a lot of really cool things in there. But in that process, it seems like everybody has their kryptonite, and mine seems to be relationships. So, I had a very abusive relationship, and it ended up getting really, really bad. And then I definitely struggled with the consequences of what an abusive relationships looks like, because a lot of times we don't see when somebody acts out, and like in the bullying too, like sometimes when they're acting out, you got to go back and look at home, and when you see their home life, it's like you're getting beat every day. No wonder why you're lashing out in society or making these bad decisions, because you're going through these like really traumatic things. And so kind of what was happening to me, I wasn't making the best decisions because I was living so poorly behind the scenes. And
Mhm.
so finally when I wouldn't even say my wake up call, because it was definitely a journey after that as well. So I'm gonna own up to that. But I was sent to the hospital. My ex-husband tried to kind of actually still I stuff her today. Some people kind of make fun of me, say I have raspy voice. But because my ex-husband got arrested for felony assault and battery, including felony strangulation, it had played a big part in my life and in that downfall. So I did definitely not make the right decisions after that happened, because it was a crazy experience, it was just a lot. So then I'm going through this stuff legally, other snowball effect with it. And I'm like, dude, my life is over. I have nothing else. Just need to feel alive. And I ended up going to a boxing gym. So I was 26 years old and I went into a boxing gym, and from there, it was definitely highs and lows, but I realized that's why I was there. So after being in the boxing gym, because I was going through so much turmoil in my own life, it was just really an escape from reality. Like, it was just the one place where I felt like I could turn all the court battles off, the things with my kids off, the hurt, the abuse, the mental abuse, all that stuff just got shut off. And then I was having extremely bad money problems because I'm paying for lawyers, I'm paying for these consequences, all this stuff. So I really needed money. And that's when that boxing coach was like, well, you can make money fighting. I'm like, what? No, you can't. Like, I'm 26 years old. Like, I just started. And he's like, no, like, you really got it. Like, you can really be something special. And I do have to give a shout out to him for that, because I believed it, whether he was playing me or lying me or not, I believed it. And that's all it took. So I went pro 4 months after I won, and things started really looking up that way until it didn't. And then I realized, being with that boxing manager, he wanted more than just being boxing. And when I was like, whoa, because again, like I said, relationships are my kryptonite. I'm like, no, 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 I don't want a relationship. I just want to work on boxing. It really ended up kind of pissing him off. And so he started trying to like blackball me, like, oh, you'll never box without me. You'll never be nobody, da 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 da. It goes into a bunch of details that way. But that hate and that spark and that downfall in my life really pushed me to be like, dude, I don't need you. And I started this and I love it. And I'm not letting anybody take anything from me anymore. I'm going to get everything I lost times 10 times interest back. And that's exactly what I did. And it was really, really hard. Trying to break away from the spot in Virginia and go out there, the same thing, like with my kids, like I try my best to do that. And that was just like a 2 year, one of the darkest lows of my life. I wouldn't wish it on anybody if I had to be honest. Anything tragic and bad, I'd take being beat, stomped on the ground, being kicked, and my ribs broken than going through what it was to go to custody battle with your kid, like any day. Like, mental pain is the worst. Physical pain is nothing. And so that's why transitioning to boxing and sport, that's why everybody loved me, because I was tough. Because I would go in there and be like, oh, there's a ref here to save me. If it gets too hard, someone's going to stop it. Like, those are things I've never had in real life. Like, this is a fucking fantasy right now. And because that was my mentality, it made me fearless. And because I have education and I took my education so serious, it made me adaptable. It made me smart when people coach me. So I decided to move out and live out of my car, because I couldn't work and keep up with my child support, keep up with this. Like, everybody was putting these traps for me to just not make it and not be anything special and great like I knew I could be. And I just was like, I refused to do it. So instead of getting the second job taking me away from the gym, I just ended up, moving out of my house, renting that out, and living out of my car so I could take that money and budget it and put it in the right places. I slept on so many people's couches. I went to so many gyms. I think in the beginning, people were negative to me about that. Like, oh, she's a gym whore, she's a gym hopper. When really I was just trying to go find what I needed from that gym and really just find a family, someone to actually support me. Like, I've never had that. I didn't have that when I was growing up. I didn't have that as a teenager. I damn sure didn't have it as a young adult. Like, I really just want a family. And going out to these places, finding out that, nothing in life is really free. And, love is very conditional. It's very subjective. It's never unconditional because, you're going to love me because I'm doing good. You're going to love me because I'm nice back to you. You're going to love me, for saying nice things to you. It's not, oh, when the world is dark and cold or, someone's snapping on you or someone needs help, those people aren't there for you. And, I really thought I could find that through this boxing journey. And I took some trials and errors, but I can honestly say I did. And it was because I didn't settle in those places I told you about. As soon as I saw a red flag or something that was like, oh, this is not like family, I left. But, I was humble and great about it. And thank you for everything that I picked up on the spot. But, I was there until, I could see it being bad, kind of going back to like the PTSD on the first thing. Like, I loved my boxing coach. He said jump, I would say how high. But the minute he went a relationship and I didn't, I got picked, like really, really bad stuff happened with that. So yeah, it's been a hell of a journey. I know that was a long-winded answer, but that's what got me into it. It was kind of like, again, at the first, to save my life. The second part was I don't want to say vindictive, but almost like that chip on your shoulder, which is healthy. I'm not gonna, when people are like, oh, why does she walk around with a chip on your shoulder? I don't take any offense to it. Some people do, and some people have that chip on for a reason, and it's healthy because without that chip on that shoulder, I wouldn't be a fighter. I would be an accountant, or I would be, event management for the NFL. I'd be working ticket office for NASCAR. I'd be doing something like that. I wouldn't be able to be that gritty, raw toughness that people that do love me really, truly identify with, because life is hard. And I'm glad that I can go out there and be so successful at showing how a very hard life can be turned into a really great life. Fast forward, now I'm with Bare Knuckle. I love BKFC. I just spent the last month in South America. I'm doing some really great things now. But when it started, that's what it looked like. And that's why.
Hey man, that was a hell of an introduction. And you talk about your upbringing, your life, and how it is today. Um, what's one thing you'll always take from Bare Knuckle that will always be with you?
Really, the best story I have with Bare Knuckle is when it first started, because it's much like me. And that's why I really try to do put it out there. And I think the people that really are real and know view me as the face of BKFC. Because when I found out BKFC was like, even though it's Dave Feldman's company, it's like, man, that's my life. That's me 100%. And that's what I take away from BKFC. So it's this. So when they came to me when it first happened. So I was an OG. I was there when BKFC first started. Everybody said, this is a horrible idea. This is bad. This is crazy. They're never going to last. This company's going to belly up. You're going to go in there and get cut up and beat up, and this company's going to disappear in a year. But I kept thinking, I was like, man, there's just this weird, like, pull, like magnet. Like, I keep talking to people about it, and people are like, this is crazy. This is bad. But the one person that was like, well, that's cool, I'd be like, oh yeah, isn't it? Like, and I'd find myself like, wow, I wouldn't have that reaction. It was like, I'm seeking that validation. I'm looking for the right answer. And when I found out I was doing that, I'm like, Britton, why do you even care what people think? You obviously are looking for the okay. Get the okay from yourself. Who cares if it's crazy? Who cares if it doesn't work out? It could be a means to an end. Just do it. And sure enough, when I went in with that attitude, that first fight, even though I didn't win, it was a very controversial split decision. I mean, in my heart, and the people know that I won, but on paper, I lost. But it did just that. It opened so many doors. It was such an experience, and I loved it. And now look, now it's the same thing. Everyone said, oh, never work. It's trash. It's horrible, brutal. Why would anybody do that? Who would watch this? That's what people were saying about me. She's nobody. She's skinny white girl. She has no money. She can't do shit right. She's a da 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 da. She's a fuck up. She's gonna be belly up. This and that. All these mean things. Now, 7 years later, Conor McGregor's at freaking BKFC. Did you guys hear? Oh, did you hear the new signing? They got 1 million followers now. They have Shaq coming to their fights. You know, look at Britton Hart. Britton Hart has 2 titles. People aren't saying I'm crazy anymore. People are like, wow, you're crazy. Why would you do that? It's, you're so tough and awesome. You're an inspiration. Those are the things people say to me. Nobody says those bad, crazy things. You know, maybe once here and there, but I don't really like overall don't care. And I'm always like on the overall scale. So the overall scale, people think I'm great at it. And now, you know, it's opening the doors to like, people aren't like, oh, Britton Hart, you know, the girl, or Britton Hart, the boxer. It's Britton Hart, the 2-time BKFC champion. We want her on our show. We want to cast her. And now look, you know, I got a movie coming up next summer. I might be in a second movie. Those are all things that would have not made possible if I didn't take that leap of chance with BKFC. So if I have to say, I have to take one thing from bare knuckle, winning that Paige Van Sant fight and telling everyone I'm a fucking feeling, that I don't think I'll ever forget that, even though sometimes I want to. But nah, it's really just honestly what it stands for and what it represents, you know, and it should be a great lesson to anyone who thinks that, man, this idea is too crazy or people are gonna judge me. Who cares? If you feel it in here, go and follow it, because only you can see the bigger picture. And when everyone else sees the bigger picture, I promise you they'll be singing a different tune. That's for sure.
Amen. Amen. Because like I've watched a few of your matches, and I've been telling everyone, you know, I started watching bare knuckle like about, I would say, 2 years ago. And because I was a big wrestling fan, you know, for basically my whole life. And then being into boxing and seeing everything, and then I was like, man, bare knuckle, you know, I got a few guys that I follow on there too that have been on the channel. And I was like, why not have a world champion? And this is my first world champion for bare knuckle. And I appreciate it though. And what's in 6 months, what would you like to be accomplishing?
Gosh, well, I've mentioned it a couple times. I'm really thinking, I mean, I really like this movie thing. The world of stunt fighting is you know, totally different. I'm same thing with you. I love wrestling. I love, you know, MMA. I love BJJ. I love all the combat sports. And really, stunt fighting is its own little thing. It's its own world. They have their own lingo. They don't have their whole backstory. And it's really intriguing. I really enjoy it. I got my first taste of it. Just a couple months ago in New Jersey. And it's like kind of like that same feeling where I was telling you where I first did my first pro boxing match. It's kind of like, oh my God, this is for me. Like, this is great. Like, I can do this. And so I really think I would like to kind of break off in that. I do believe I'm going to be fighting in September. It is a little jumbled up right now with like the details on it. So it makes me a little leery and unconfident, but they did give me a date. We just don't have an opponent. And you know, there are some other things that I probably can't talk about that were released out. So anyways, I'm kind of figuring that out, but it does make sense to fight around September or October somehow. So I'm sure it will happen. And then so that's, you know, in a couple months, right around the corner, then Christmas time. And then I really hope to shoot that second movie in January or February. I'm thinking that's something that's being tied up right now. So yeah, what I see myself in 6 months is being like, man, like I'm, you know, not just a one-timer or two-timer, but like I legitly do stunt fighting as part of my day job or something like that. I think it would be really cool. I think it would be kind of a different avenue for fighters. You see a couple fighters doing it. You know, I think the one guy, I can't remember his name though, from the Kingdom. He plays in a lot of cool movies, but he was a fighter. I'm not sure if he was like I think he was a really good fight. But anyways, but regardless of it, you know, a lot of fighters, they resort to being a coach, opening their own gym. I really wanted to do that. I've really been like putting all my like passion and love into that like dream. And it was unfortunately in the beginning of this year, I let go of that dream. It's not gonna be for me. I think my heart gets broken a little bit too easily on those things. And when you stay on one spot, and I just think for me, a gym, you know, I love coaching, I love training people, but I wholeheartedly do. But I think the seminars, the going in and giving somebody, hey, we spend this day together. I'm going to show you everything I know, and then you take it and run with it. Use it if you like it. If you don't, whatever. Maybe I teach you 20 things and 2 things click, but those 2 things change your life or change your course of your destiny, you know? I would rather do that than open one gym, one location. And it kind of just goes to like, I don't know, maybe be a bigger dreamer. Like I'm definitely a dreamer. And so if I have a gym, it makes my bubble this big. And I'm changing the life of those people in that bubble. And I know I can, and I would love to because I love coaching. But if I can be here, 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 and here, that bubble gets bigger and wider, and you get to help more people. So I think that I found my little niche in that. Kind of gave up on the opening my own gym concept. But being someone who travels and does boxing seminars, I love. I just did one in Lancaster, Ohio at the PAL there. And I mean, it's a police athletic academy, and they do a lot of cool things and grant programs for children, especially low income cities that really, really need it. And so actually, this is the second one I've done one with. I've also been in the one in Du Bois, Pennsylvania. And like when I go there, like I'm like, oh man, these people need me. So it's like, how can I be everywhere at once? Well, damn sure isn't owning my own gym, but it's being flexible and having these abilities like the stunt fighting, the boxing seminars, to travel, be in Ohio, maybe help 1 or 2 kids that I could change their life, then go to Pennsylvania, then go to Texas, maybe Vegas, maybe Montana, Wisconsin, whatever that might look like. But I really think overall that would be something different and better for me individually as a fighter, for when I need to, you know, a lot of fighters are messing up. They don't have a backup plan. And when they retire or they get knocked out 3 times in a row, they end up going crazy and psycho and shut down and depressed. And, you know, you gotta feel sorry for those guys, because it's a scary place to be when you lose your identity and lose who you are. You really become somebody completely else. And that's because, you know, there's no what's after fighting. And so I'm really trying to be smart about that. I do want to be a 4-time world champ. So I have that high goal with BKFC. I would like to get a title in gloved boxing. That's still on my radar. And I said I would do it 8 years ago. And so I need to like still check that off because I haven't done it yet. And then, yeah, I want to be in like a big time stunt fighter, or like, and that way being in these movies gives me constant, I don't want to say clout, but yeah, like, you know, because eventually when you're in the world champion for so long, it wears off. You know, after 10 years, it's like, oh, that girl hasn't fought in 8 years. You know, why do we care anymore? But it's like, oh, we saw that girl on, you know, Fantastic Five or something like that. It's going to be like, whoa, no, that's the girl who plays in this. That, oh, I just saw that girl on Netflix. That's going to keep that barrier to bring me people, like to bring me into people, to be like, yeah, she does this, but she was also a boxer, and she's going to give you guys a boxing seminar or a self-defense course or a street fighting course, whatever it needs to be. I am able to teach it, and that's going to keep me relevant without, you know, losing my teeth, getting my teeth knocked out, and getting my face cut up a million more times. So yeah, overall maybe more than a 6-month plan, but I definitely got plans.
That's always good though. Like I'm glad to hear, because I know a lot of fighters that I've watched over the years that have been Monday nights or Friday nights SmackDown to Monday Night Raw. A lot of the fighters that I used to watch that aren't who they, you know, who they say they are, you know, and it's kind of mind blowing to me that, you know, being on the other side and then saying like getting so close to certain people, learning so many different things from that time frame and wrestling, and to being like, man, like where are they at now? You know, they're
Yeah.
not doing very much, or they're not in the spotlight anymore like they used to be. But it's always good though. Like that's a good plan to have. I'm glad that's your goal, and you have like a big goal in life, and you're doing all these things and you're still young. And you know, talk about, you know, how do your kids feel about, you know, when they see you into the ring or they see you, you know, bare knuckle?
Yeah, so I have two beautiful children, and they are also crushing it at life. So Peyton is my son, he's 13, and Paris is my daughter, she's 9. Um, they're actually in vacation in Florida right now together, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, no, we have definitely a different setup, but it works, and that's what you got to look at. And a lot of people, whatever. Anyways, get how they feel about it. My daughter, she was like literally my sidekick in my boxing early career. Like she was in the gym with me every single day for like years. And that's kind of why she lives with her dad now, because I really fought that and I thought it was a great thing. And I still it's still a little bit of a regret, but whatever, it's still working out the way it needs to be. But they're like, oh, she doesn't need to be in the gym every day. Now looking back, I wish I would have made my stand and been like, yes, she does. It's good for her. But I ended up kind of being talked out that being in the gym every night wasn't good for her. So I let her live with her dad after those years. But she learned how to fight. She's actually an extremely good mitt holder. So she can hold mitts for like other kids and people really well. She sparred, she did that whole thing. She's great at it. Sometimes she loves it, sometimes she's not, but whatever. She did stay with me for a camp one time. So that was the coolest experience ever. She literally got approval to be in the locker room and everything. And it was funny because I'm like, well, it's bare knuckle. Like it is a little scary. Like, I can say, oh, it's not that bad. But it can be scary and intimidating if you're not used to it. It's just what it is. When you see like racing doesn't seem too bad, but you see two cars crash and flames go up everywhere. It's a little jarring sometimes. So
Yeah.
especially for a child.
Mhm.
But with Paris, she's like, I want to go and watch the fights. I don't want to be in the locker room. And I'm like, all right, okay, all right. Let's get this over with. Let's let her go watch the fight. She's going to be begging to come back to the locker room. We go out there. I check on her and I'm like, all right, let's go to the locker room. She's like, I don't want to. I want to watch Elvin. I want to watch Steven. And I'm like, who's that? Steven? She's like, your friend. And I'm like, what? And she's like, Tomahawk. I'm like, oh my God, here she is knowing everybody's real name. Like, I'm calling these people by their nicknames. Like, she's really feeling this. She stayed out there the whole time. Then when I rushed out, I won. I was, everyone's bombarding me with pictures, et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, oh my God, I need to find Paris. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. What a trooper. So I go and I pick her up. I'm like, I'm sorry, Paris. And my friends that were watching her, they look at me. They're like, oh, she was fine. She was telling everyone, they were like, don't worry, your mom will be out soon. She's like, oh no, she's going to be a minute. She's got to go do concussion test. She's got to go to this room, fill this paperwork out. Then she's got to go here because she saw the tour where they told us what we have to, our protocol after the fight, what we have to do. So she's telling everyone, like, just matter of fact, oh, like, no, she's going to be a while. She has her concussion test and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, she loves it. She's great. Same thing with my son. He doesn't like it. He has done all the things. I made him spar just one time. He doesn't like it. He doesn't like to watch. But same thing. I took him to a smoker one time. He sat in the corner and was like, and then I'm like, dude, I'm great at what I do. I'm not getting hurt, and it's a smoker. It's not that serious. But I got the medal because I did, win or whatever. So I brought it over and I was like, look, I won this for you, buddy. He's like, I don't want it. It's sweaty. And I'm like, oh my God. No, but I did have a breakdown one time. I'll never forget. I'll share with you guys. I had a breakdown one time and I was just like, man, this is too hard. Like I suck. I'm not a good mom. And I started crying. I had like yell. I think I lost my temper or something. And I just started crying. I was like, dude, do I need to I just need to quit fighting, don't I? If I quit fighting, quit boxing and just come back here, I'll be way better. And it'll be a better mom and step up. And both my kids were like, no, mom, like you love fighting. We don't want you to quit fighting at all. Like we love you. We love seeing you. And you help so many people. And it was like that last part that like really choked me up because they're like, it's not so much you love boxing, it's you help so many people. And they get that. And the fact they get that and can tell me and kind of get their blessing on, I tell them every day, like, hey, you call me and you need me somewhere, just let me know. Like I'll be there. If I need to quit fighting, if fighting's bothering you, let me know. And they've never once tell me that. They love what I do and it's kind of rubbed off on them. And I like, my daughter just moved to Pensacola. Most kids are like, bummed out. They don't want to move. They don't want to switch schools. They don't want to be the new kid. They got their own friends. You know, she was living in Charlotte, but
Mm.
she's moving to Pensacola now, and she's pumped. She's like, I can't wait, blah, blah, blah. That's going to be such a cool experience for her, you know. And then with Peyton, you know, I go to get him, and they're like, oh, he's doing a Pokemon tournament in Tennessee. Oh, he's in a Pokemon tournament in North Carolina. Oh, he's going up to New Jersey for this. And I'm like, damn, the kid's never around. And then I'm like, you know what? I raised that kid right. You know, he's me entirely. They both are, because we can go anywhere and love life to the fullest. You know, they both make straight A's. They're both doing good. But the thing I'm most excited about them is that they're out there. Like, they're doing things. They're not like just at home or in one spot. They're out there experiencing different cultures, you know, different types of people, different communities. And you know, I like that they travel. So I'm not upset by it at all. We kind of have this working system, you know. He's doing his thing, she's doing her thing, I'm doing my thing. When we meet in the middle, we bring so much excitement, we bring so much quality to our relationship. Because now it's like, well, I was in Guatemala, well, I was here, and blah, blah, blah. And we talk about each of our sports, you know, and it fosters such a really beautiful relationship. So I think everybody's super happy. I think they realize now, I mean, like, some of my greatest accomplishments that I've done for them now is like, you know, if I was a stay-at-home mom and stayed here and never moved away, you know, and worked a 9 to 5 job, I wouldn't be able to take them to Disney World. I wouldn't be able to take them to Puerto Rico. Like, I wouldn't take them to California, and we like live in California for a month. We lived in, you know, my daughter stayed in Miami. Miami, one of the most expensive but coolest, beautiful cities. She stayed in Miami with me for 3 months, and every day we were killing it. Zoo, aquarium, walking the streets, different food, like all those things that are so great now because they were willing to ride it out with me in the bad. And kind of goes back to the like the family unconditional love, you know. And I think we're really figuring out what that looks like. It might not be perfect and we're gone, but we know what unconditional love means. It means I love you no matter if you're here, there, doing this, that, whatever. And so we've got that down pat.
Damn. It's been such a great interview. I know the timer is on right here on the Zoom, but I would like to I basically ask, you know, after every interview, I always ask like what's 3 things in your life that you're most proud of, but I think you kind of sum that up. And I think it's
Maybe I should quiz you. What do you, from this interview, what are the 3 most important things in my life or greatest accomplishments?
for me, for me,
Yeah, well, that you would take away from me.
from me, man, stay motivated.
Hmm.
Um build a good outlook on your family. I know keeping your kids right and to it's basically I think it's the same as the first one, you know, like to stay motivated but to keep your mind right and stay
Yeah, perfect. I really, and it is, it works. I talk to people all the time. They're like, you know, I talk to someone, they're like, yeah, their life's really hard because their dad's in prison. And that is really sad and unfortunate. And I don't want to not be empathetic towards it. But I told that kid straight up, I'm like, you don't need him. Why you don't? Why does that have any effect on you? Your dad's in prison's not coming out, and even though he did a bunch of shitty things, that tragedy is going to be your biggest weapon growing up. Why not just use it now? You don't need him. He's never going to come around. He's never going to help you. Don't let that hold you down. I didn't have it, you know. I don't have a good relationship with my father, and my father damn sure didn't help me when I really could have, you know, needed it and used it. And look, I turned out, look what I'm doing. You can do the same thing. And to see that kid turn around, his attitude was, no, oh, my dad, you know, my dad did this and I'll never see my dad again. It was, yeah, you know what? You're right. I got everything myself. I'm going to keep going and no one's going to hold me back. I'm like, boom, that's it. Just real quick little change, like literally within like the power of words and power of believing and the power of mindset is so ridiculously real and out there. It's almost weird that not many people really get it and catch it, but I guess everyone, like I said, you got to walk your own path and journey. But when you figure that out, it's amazing. And I've seen people, I mean, they say nothing happens overnight. I don't know. I've seen a lot of little miracles overnight that are pretty amazing. So don't ever stop believing that it can't change like that, because it definitely can.
True that. True that. I want to thank you again. And I look forward to having you back on the channel, to talk about anything, talk about, the journey in movies to the journey in bare knuckle to becoming a four-time, world champion.
I
And
know.
it'll be great. It's going to be great. Let everyone know where they can follow you at and to follow the journey.
Yes, please, you guys follow along because it's really just getting started at Team Britain Hart. Definitely trying to make an impact. So I need as many people. That's why we hashtag Britain Army. So yeah, I would just appreciate that. And let's just keep it going and see what else impossible we can crush and make sure we get our goals accomplished.
Amen. Amen. It's been Bret and Hart, Carlito, one love. We out.